chemical energy. The reality of it is that out of like all sunlight that hits the planet, it's something like less than 5% of all sunlight hitting this planet is used for photosynthesis. That means that we have a lot of light that's really not being used. We probably should talk about gross primary productivity. As opposed to net primary productivity.
Still under primary production.
What is like net versus gross? If you're thinking about like money, is gross what they pay you, or is gross what you take home? Net is what you take home. So gross primary productivity is going to refer to total production, whereas net primary productivity is going to factor out any energy that was used along the way. So if you think about it, net primary productivity is what's available to consumers. Now think about that. I'm saying that, let's say a plant produces 1,000 units of sucrose, 1,000 units of sucrose, which is the product of what reaction in a plant? What are plants doing? Okay, perfect. So let's say there's 1,000 units of sugar available. Well, what I'm saying is that if you had 1,000 units of sugar, of glucose or sucrose, I'm saying that maybe you only have 800 net. Where do the other 200 go? Used by the plant so that it could do the photosynthesis or grow and therefore do photosynthesis. Okay? Let's see. Y'all know about a food chain, right? Y'all seen those before? Okay. Trophic efficiency is basically how efficient a system is as you go from one trophic structure to the next. So as you're going this direction, trophic efficiency would study like how much throughput you would have from one level to the next, or how much energy you could transfer from one level to the next. If you had 10,000 joules of energy in all producers, then the best you could do is transfer and have 1,000 joules of energy in that next level. And subsequently, you have a loss of 90% each way and a carry up of only 10%. So again, in each change, you have a 90% loss, which means your carryover, again, is only 10%, and you do that each time. Now again, what you're seeing here with this efficiency or this inefficiency is you could state that every time you have an energy change, so at each energy change, there's a production of heat. And we know heat is like the enemy of any like energy-based reaction in physics. You're always having this loss of energy as heat. And so it would make sense that you would be inefficient because of this. So I'm about biomass pyramids real quick. You've seen biomass pyramids before, I suspect. Typically, they're drawing something like about this. What? I don't understand what you're saying. Thank you. When you're talking about biomass, you're talking about literally like poundage or kilograms. And so if my dad had 1,000 kilograms of hay, he at best probably would have about 100 kilograms of a cow. That's what his hay would support, which would support about 10 kilograms of me. So not only is your trophic energy like structure showing inefficiency, but because of that you would have like what you would see as a biomass inefficiency. You understand why how since energy works like this, your biomass would work like this? So if you look,
what is the biomass like? Can you explain to me where that weight is going?
where the weight is
The
going,
mass?
it's really not that there's a weight going. It's the simple like, concept that it would take a ton of this mass to support just a couple of cows. So it's not that there's a loss. I mean, there's not like where's the hay, like where's all this pounds of hay or whatever going. It's not that. It's that my dad would need acres and acres and acres of hay basically to support only one cow, because the cow will eat about 10 times more than it really needs. In other words, since there's this huge loss of energy along the way, it's having to eat 10 pounds of hay, even though it truly only needs the energy from 1 pound of hay, because its stomach does not break up the hay with 100% efficiency. It only breaks up with about 10% efficiency.
Okay.
So it's really like how much is there on that farm or on that in that system. Cool. Now, this is typically for a land-based ecosystem. A lot of aquatic ecosystems, though, are a little bit different. Let me show you an aquatic ecosystem. A lot of aquatic ecosystems look something like this. I only draw like one level. I'm sorry, only 2 levels. But you see like it's inverted. Now here, you still have your producer on the lower level, and you still have your consumer on the above level. Now, what's not sensible about this? It would make sense. You would, if since this is measuring like kilograms or biomass pyramid, you would say, well, you sure don't have enough. Since the system is going to always be inefficient, you know, in your view, you kind of are thinking possibly that this box on bottom doesn't need to be as small as it is. It needs to be like ballooned out to be like about this large or so, for it to work like you've learned it. But the reality is that some aquatic ecosystems are inverted like this, and that's because a lot of aquatic ecosystems have something that we call turnover time. They have a very quick turnover time, which is a nice way or a simple way of saying that producers are, yes, eaten quickly, but are also made quickly. A good example, and I see actually more of this one on the AP test than I do this left one, because this left one's a little too basic. This would be like zooplankton, and the second one would be like a phytoplankton. And what you'll notice is that because the phytoplankton is eaten so quickly and eaten in such a great number, there's always very few phytoplankton, but they can reproduce very quickly.
But then how do those producers support that many consumers that they eat?
See, the thing you have to remember is that even though, like this, I envision that this box never really changes its size. Now, what if you like had a chemical that killed all your zooplankton? Well, then this box would basically would disappear almost instantaneously,